Maybe she just, let me just.
Alice, what was our last meeting? August what?
9th.
August, I thought it was the 10th. The meeting say August 10th. The last
August 9th.
9th.
Did I tell you I had bad eyes?
Yeah, it's a combo of things and it was still muted. You're good.
All right, okay.
Thank you, guys.
I don't have to do everything all over again, do I?
No.
Okay. So there was no public comment, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
None online.
And if we can move on to the approval of the minutes of August 9th, unless you were here at the point meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from August 9th as written.
Second.
And my only discussion was, we did have somebody who came and spoke, but she won't give her last name. So it's just a question mark. Do we need that question mark on the agenda, or can we take that off? Doesn't matter. On the minutes. It just,
If you want me to remove it, I can remove it.
it just looks strange to me instead of just, I think her name was Kathy.
If we could say last name not provided, maybe.
That,
Oh,
yeah,
like
last
that.
name not provided. That's great. Thank you, Marie. Is that all right with the two of you? Okay. So it's been accepted by the motion maker and the motion seconder that that's okay. So if we can approve the minutes as corrected. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Hearing none, the motion is approved. And so we'll go into the public hearing. A on the agenda, item 5A, PZ 23-00125, Pine Canyon Lot 361 HOH. So ask staff if they have a report.
Alrighty, good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, let me share my screen here.
Do you want Marie to not be?
She'll get minimized.
Okay.
Okay. And is everybody seeing my presentation okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let me move this over here. Alrighty. Well, good evening, Commission. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commission. My name is Bethan Hay, planner with the City of Flagstaff. Tonight, the item before you is a conditional use permit request for a single-family high occupancy housing development located at 3699 South Woodland Hills Drive. The applicant is attending remotely tonight. Now, the subject property is located at 3699 South Woodland Hills Drive. It's located in the Pine Canyon area, specifically the Pine Canyon Pine Run subdivision that was previously approved. And the proposal tonight is for a single family dwelling. It is a 5-bedroom, 5.5 bathroom. And because it meets the 5+ bathroom rule, it kicks it into the single family high occupancy housing development type, which requires a conditional use permit, which is why you are seeing this request tonight. The subject property is zoned single family residential or R1, and the surrounding site is also R1. So before you is the site plan for the proposed single family high occupancy housing development. It's a 2-story, 5,790 square foot single family residence. And before you is the proposed floor plan. This is a 2-story floor plan. So we have here the basement floor plan as well as the 1st-story floor plan. Again, as mentioned, the single family development is for a 5.5 bathroom and 5-bedroom home. Now, in order for staff to recommend approval, several findings need to be met. The first of which is the conditional use is consistent with the objectives of the zoning code and the purpose of the specific zone. So as previously mentioned, the subject property is located in the single-family residential or R1 zone. It is a single-family development that's being proposed. And because it is a high occupancy housing development, it needs a conditional use permit or a CUP to be developed as such. So by pursuing the CUP within the zoning district, it's meeting this finding. So the second finding has to do with the conditional use will not be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare. And this is determined by meeting these 4 criterions you see on the screen. Now, if the proposed project is developed in accordance with city codes, standards, and requirements, then the project should not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, therefore meeting this finding as well. So the third finding has to do with characteristics of the development. Now, in order to meet this finding, characteristics have to be reasonably compatible with uses permitted in the surrounding area as per the following criteria. And I will go into more details in the next few slides for these criterion. So the first of which is access, traffic, and circulation. Now, access to the site will be provided from South Woodland Hills Drive, and a TIA or a traffic impact analysis is not required of a single private residence. Now, a single-family HOH development are required to provide 1 off-street parking per bedroom, and this project is proposing 5 bedrooms, so it needs 5 parking spaces, and the proposal for this development is meeting that requirement adequately. So the next criterion is adequacy of site, open space, and resource protection. Now, a resource protection plan was provided when this subdivision was platted. And the construction proposed for this request will need to be within the permitted building envelope. And part of that envelope determines what tree resources need to be retained and which of them are allowed to be removed. This development is meeting that building envelope. So as for noise, light, visual, and other pollutants, it's not anticipated that the proposed use for the site will create any additional pollutants into the area, and the site is currently well maintained. In terms of style and siting of structures and relationship to the surrounding neighborhood, the architectural style, colors, and materials for this proposed development is consistent with the residences that are already existing within this subdivision. So for landscaping and screening, provisions don't apply to a single family dwelling. And in terms of impact on public utilities, this site proposes to connect to existing city water and sewer services. There are no new off-site improvements that are required to support this use. For signage and outdoor lighting, no signage is proposed as part of this use, and any new outdoor lighting must comply with current code. In terms of dedication and development of streets, there's no additional dedication or development of public streets, as all of the public right-of-way was dedicated when the subdivision was platted. And in terms of impact on resources, no impacts to cultural resources have been identified on site. So the last 2 findings have to do with heritage preservation as well as transit. These 2 findings don't apply to this project. So part of the conditional use permit or CUP process includes the public participation plan. Now, instead of holding a virtual or in-person neighborhood meeting, the applicant was allowed to have a mailer in lieu of those meetings. He mailed notices to residences and owners within a 300-foot radius of the subject site of his intention to request this CUP. To date, staff has received 2 emails of concern regarding this project, and staff has corresponded with the senders of those emails to answer those questions pertaining to the Flagstaff zoning code. And with that, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission approve conditional use permit PZ-23-00125 with the following 2 conditions. And at this time, we'll open it up for questions and discussion.
Does anybody have any questions of staff? Hearing none. Does the developer want to make a presentation?
No, I haven't
Okay, so,
prepared.
Please state your name and address for the record.
can you please state your name and address for the record? I believe
The
that was you.
address at which I live.
So Hugh, if you can state your name and address of your, could be your business, it could be your
Home address.
home address,
And address where we can contact you.
and address where we can contact you.
Oh, yeah. My name is Hugh McMahon, and my address is 3328 North Loma Vista Drive, Flagstaff 86004.
Thank you. Do you need a date on? All right. So hearing that there was no discussion on the project and no presentation from the developer, and I want to thank you, Beth Ann, for a great presentation. Thank you for that. Is there any, oh, well, I guess I have to have a motion before discussion. So is there a motion?
I move to approve it as.
With the.
Do we need to, excuse me, do we need to call for public comment just for the record? I don't think it's here, but.
I can call for public comment on this project. And then Marchand was, did I say that right? Marshall. Looking at Beth Ann, putting them together, has made a motion to approve PZ 23-00125, Pine Canyon Lot 361 HOH, with the, does this need to go to council?
No.
With the, with approval with the conditions listed by staff. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in accordance with the findings.
Thank you.
And in accordance with the findings.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded. Does anybody have any discussion?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for going through the process. I know this kind of build is not necessarily what is intended for to catch in the HOH codes, but thank you for going through the process. It's appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if this is the time for the question, but I do have 7 more lots that are being developed with a similar situation. Is there any potential way to streamline the process or to lump, the 7 projects together or anything like that?
I'm going to defer that question to staff. Staff, did you hear that question? Can you state the question again, Hugh?
Yeah, I have 7 similar developments or housing projects that are going to be single family residents that also fall within the 5+ bathrooms. And I was curious if there was a way to lump them together or streamline the process in any way.
Sure, a zoning code text amendment, you could propose that and we could go through that process. Otherwise, utilizing the code as is, you would just be looking at having to do each one individually, same process.
Okay.
And now Beth Ann is kind of an expert on it, so.
She is. That was a great presentation.
She could just redo the
Yeah, she'll
presentation
just
with a
crank
different
that out.
So I'm curious if there were a text amendment, could it say that for single family dwellings? What, I mean, is there a way to do it so it doesn't take out the HOH for multifamily dwellings?
Absolutely, we
Yes.
can change it for single family alone.
So my only issue with that would be right now in a development like this, where it's within a development that has, a homeowners association and governing documents that, have a checks and balances for the current kind of usage. I don't worry about things like this, but outside of that, if another home, a large home was being built elsewhere without, design review process and architectural review process, it may not catch those abuses of the HOH.
I think there are ways to address it. Staff, I know personally, staff made attempts to not require the conditional use permit, to just have additional requirements. It seemed like parking was a big concern at the time that HOH came through, and that when single family houses were kind of added to the idea of HOH, it was because of houses with many bedrooms, many individual tenants, and every tenant owning a car and parking it. And that because single family houses only required 2 parking spaces at the time, that's what the code said. There was some discussion, brief discussion of, can we just modify the parking requirements for these larger houses, and that actually is part of the code. Now there's a requirement that I believe if it's over 4 bedrooms.
But you have to remember there are over 200 proposed waivers in regard to this particular, vast majority of which are single family zoned.
So Hugh, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. My job is just to give you options of how to move forward. But I think the smoothest process moving forward would be to continue with the individual conditional use permits for each house until we look at a more comprehensive zoning code amendment. But willing to discuss further if you would like. Maybe at a later date.
No, that's great. I appreciate you, the consideration. I do have one other question in just regards to the staff recommended action item number 2. I'm just not familiar with the compliance with the Flagstaff Police Department's crime-free multi-housing program and what that entails.
You can work with staff on that. I believe in this case, we'll probably be looking at talking with the police and getting a waiver. It's really, that program is really designed for multifamily to have whoever the property management is aware of certain provisions in our code and with the police to ensure good behavior at a development, less necessary for a single family house.
Especially with the HOA.
Yes. So, but we'll follow up with you on that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. So that has been approved. Next on our agenda is miscellaneous items to and from commission members. So I guess my question is in the future, if somebody comes to a meeting from the public and they don't give their name and address, can they address us? I mean, that was unusual from the last meeting.
So she provided her name, it just wasn't, we couldn't hear what the name was, and then when we followed up with her, she was not willing to give her name. That was part of the issue.
And she didn't state her address, I don't think, did she? At the meeting?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
I don't think she stated her name, no.
So, her address, so is that a problem in the future? Or how do
We
address
can,
that?
I can talk to legal about it and
Okay.
see how we want to address that in the future.
Yeah.
This is really
It just
the
was-
first time that
yeah,
it's happened.
Unusual, so, okay.
Yeah, and I think I forgot to ask for that info.
I actually think you did ask for the info and she kind of muttered her name and kind of
Oh,
jumped right
okay.
in. I think you did ask her, but she just started talking. So,
I don't know with the Open Meetings Act and stuff that we can just say, you can't, address us if you don't give your name. But that's just my, previous experience in a different state, but.
yeah, that may be true too, but,
it's
I'll
probably
find
not an
out.
issue.
And then we'll have better direction.
Okay.
Next one.
okay. Anything else to and from commissioners? If not, oh, go ahead.
I said I look forward to doing this 7 more times.
Yeah. Did you hear
See you
that?
soon,
Oh,
Hugh.
I think we look forward to this 7 more times or 6 more times or whatever.
I'll spread them out a little bit so you don't get bored of me.
Okay. Thank you. And again, thank you, Beth Ann. And with that, we're adjourned. It's 4:28 finally.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.